So, welcome to a new video in the course TBMT33. And in this video, we will talk about the first 4 documents in a rather zoomed out fashion, which are the first delivery of the in the course. So we are here in the beginning, and we will talk about these 4 documents. As before, you can use this material as long as you say where it's from, and it's part of the CDIO. So we will talk about how to convert the one-page summary that you already have been given to 4 documents that more in detail specify what you will actually do in the project. So the first of these documents, the requirement specification, which to some extent is at the heart of the project description. And this, when it's finally negotiated, then it will show the end result of the negotiations with the customer. So the customer has basically written this one-page summary, which is just some loose ideas, and then you need to concretize this. You need to specify more in detail what you promise to do. And then the customer, after you handle it in, will have a look at this, and then he might say, well, I actually want you to do this as well, and this is not so important. And then you negotiate for some time, and then you're eventually finished. So what you're supposed to do here is to hand in the first version of this. And in order to understand these requirements, in order to be able to discuss these promises and demands, you need to introduce some short things. So it needs to have a short introduction, just a basic concept and names and so on. But at the heart of this is really a list of requirements. And the key thing here is that there are different levels to these requirements. So and the most important promises are the level 1 promises, which are the promises that we say that these ones we will really deliver. So if you pay us the money, which in this case is past the course, then we will actually deliver these ones. Otherwise, we will take the consequences of receiving less money or actually not passing the course. And then comes the level 2 requirements, which are things that you think if things go as smoothly as you think they will, then you will also deliver the level 2 requirements. And then the level 3 requirements, they are such things that if things are more easy than we actually believe, if we have time to spare in the end, then we will move on also to these level 3 requirements. Here there is also a specific requirement on economy, that in the course you have 350 hours per person, and here you should think that it might sound tempting to only have level 2 and level 3 promises, but here you should think that this is actually preparation for how to do this in practice, and then nobody will want to hire you if you don't promise anything. So you should really try to find a balance between these. And it might be difficult, but we are also here to help you with this. And this requirement specification is using the other documents that you're also handing in at the same time, like the workflow and the time plan and so on. So they are sort of intricately linked to this requirement specification. So this table here of requirements, it looks something like this. So here it says if it's the original version of the requirement or if it's been renegotiated along the way. Here is a short description of the requirement, and then you have this level 1 or level 2 and level 3. And there is a template on LISAM that you can download for the requirement specification, where you have also a template for this requirements table here. And also all the other things that need to be there. But the most important thing that needs to be there is this requirement specification, or this table actually. So let's have a look at the second document. It's the time plan and the workflow. And then you need to start to list the different things that you need to do in the project. So you need to list, you need to formulate the model, of course, and you need to read the literature and specify which literature that you need to read, and then all these other things. And then once you have written up the main things that you can think of, and which then are, of course, tightly connected to the requirement specification, then you start to connect these. So you need to formulate the model before you can formulate the optimization script, and then you have these various connections. And sometimes you might also have these decision points here that it depends on the outcome. So maybe the model can describe the data, or maybe it cannot. And then depending on the outcome, you will go in different directions like this. So you need to connect them like this. And then once you have done that, you start to write how long these different steps will take. And here you see that you have intervals. So this basically means that you believe that if things go really fast, then it will probably not take more than 10 hours. But it might be more complicated to formulate the model because we haven't done it yet, and we're a bit uncertain. So it might take up to 20 hours. And the same for here, between 10 and 50. And then once you have these, then you can start to think, and you can start to distribute names, who will do what, and you can also start to think about the levels. So if we sum this up, the different steps here is to first write up the various things that are involved, identify the logical order that they should be in. Especially important here is where you will start, because in the beginning of a big project it's sometimes hard to know where to start. And then you put these numbers with intervals, and then you use these. So you basically count the numbers, and when you count pessimistically, so you have the maximum amount of numbers, everything takes the maximum time that you think that it will take, even if things are really more difficult than you think they really should be. And then you see how far do you get in this list of things, and all the things that you will cover given the number of hours that you have, those will be the level 1 requirements. And then you sort of move from the really pessimistic to the optimistic, and then as you move down, you first come to the level 2 and to the level 3 requirements. And then you should also have some kind of strategy. So who will be the first person to attack a problem? And if it takes really long time, then maybe somebody else should join in, and who is that supposed to be? So this is basically what this workflow is for. So it's there to help you think about in which order things will be done, and to make a realistic, or as realistic as possible, requirement specification. I should say a part of this is also an Excel sheet which exists online, which is a time plan where you specify how many hours you will spend each week on the different tasks, and then you will fill this in also. So all of this is available on all these templates. The third document that you should hand in is the group contract. And the group contract is basically handed in just so we know that you have it, but it's basically for you in the group. So how and when should you communicate with each other? How often should you have meetings? Should you be there physically on all meetings, or is it okay to be on Skype? And who is going to call for these meetings? Who is going to remind people? And what happens if somebody doesn't show up to the meetings? And what happens if somebody doesn't perform the things that he or she has promised to perform? This is a critical thing that very well might happen. And then you need to decide what happens then. How should you start to put pressure on this person? And what will happen at what stages? At some point you will have to tell me as the course examiner that this person is actually not doing what he or she is supposed to do. So I don't think, or the rest of us don't think, that this person should actually pass this course. So you need to have a clear protocol for how to make these discussions internally, so it doesn't come as a sort of flash from a blue sky that that suddenly they will tell you that I will not pass this course. You should have a gradual transition into this, and this you need to decide upon internally, when to involve also the supervisor and me as the course examiner. And also all these other problems that you might foresee. And here it might also be that you think that, well, maybe we should actually go out and have some beers or have a party in the beginning or something else just to get to know each other. So it's not only problems, but also how can you make sure that we have a nice atmosphere? Who will bring fika? Yes, and then the final document is the first version of the report. And this report is maybe the most important delivery at the end. And here you're basically just having the sort of template, so just a skeleton. But there are some things that you actually will fill in already here in the beginning. So you will fill in the background. And the background is basically what is the basic assumptions that leads up to this project. And this both says what needs to be sort of understood, but also what are the arguments for why this is important? How does this to the rest of the world? And here in this first version, you only need to outline the skeleton, so the logical structure of the background as a whole, and then to write text on maybe 2 to 3 pages. You don't need to write text on more, and then the rest can just be headings. And this should then lead to the aims, which here in the report is specified fairly loosely, and then in the other documents you have it more outlined in the different requirements and the different substeps. And this also leads to a little bit of an outline of the rest of the thesis. So what are the main chapters and what are the sub-chapters to these chapters? And actually who will write in each sub-chapter, this is also a thing that you should specify here. And in order to pass the course, you need to contribute to all of these things. So each pair must write at least some clearly identified parts of the final report. And in each part of the report you need to write as well. So you need to write in the introduction somewhere, in the method somewhere, and the results somewhere. And it should be specified where that is. And that specification of where each person has written, primarily, this is specified in something called the prefix, which is there in the very beginning. So these are the things that should be there in the report, and now I would suggest that you start to listen to how to write these things. So there are some various other videos of how to write background and how to write structure in a good way. So I would suggest that you now move to some of these videos. So that's it for this video.